Hello and welcome to another scrapbooking process video. Today I am doing another page in my project life. This is the week that is basically the first full week in June, which is also going to include the little insert that I did of my daughter's birthday as well, which I already did in a separate video. And there's also a 4x6 card in the bottom right hand corner that I also did with the pivot pop-up from Lawn Fawn, the movie club card. So I'm basically going to design leaving that bottom right hand 4x6 empty. So I have printed up my photos here, and I print them up at 4x6 and 3x4 as well as 2x3, and I have a couple squares there that I printed at 3x3. So also my screenshots I print at 2x4 as well, so they fit in a pocket as well. I'm going to leave a little space at the top left-hand corner here for my week card, which I haven't been doing that for many, many years. I did that the first year that I did Project Life, and I found it a little stressful having to do a title card every single week. So after that first year, I kind of decided to just never ever do title cards again. And maybe that was a little harsh because I'm feeling a little bit like I'm missing putting a title card in. I have been on Instagram and seeing some other people's Project Life spreads, and I really like how it looks with the title cards. So I thought, well, what's wrong with starting that in the middle of the process? I'm just going to go ahead in the middle of the year and start counting the weeks. So I counted it out, and it looks like this is week 23. So as you can see, I don't have a whole lot of photos this week, and part of that is that I hadn't been keeping track of the weeks in this way. My weeks go from Monday to Sunday, and so just the way that I was scrapping up until now, there was a bit of a gap here. So this isn't a full week, but I'm counting it week 22. And so that spans from May 30th until June 5th. But the reason I have so few photos is that some of the photos from late May and early June are actually on the previous page. So as you can see, the first step of my process, besides grabbing a nice hot cup of coffee, is to put all of my photos out on my templates, which are just pieces of cardstock that I used a marker and a ruler to mark off the Becky Higgins Design A format, because those are the page protectors that I use 99% of the time, if not more. Then my second phase is what I'm at right now, which is finding cards to go in all of the pockets that aren't entirely filled by photos. And so I have the June Stories by the Month kit here, and I have several May kits also here that I've pulled out. I was having a bit of trouble getting started, actually. I don't know what it was. I was just kind of losing my mojo or something, but I don't want to forget that my movie club card is here. So I just took a plain 4x6 card. I just keep index cards in that size on hand, and it's just going to hold the space for my movie club card that I've already scrapped. Then I also want to keep in mind that there is an insert that will go between these two pages. So these two pages will never be seen as they are as I'm designing them, which is just them face like all spread out with nothing in between them. So there will always be something covering either the right hand side of the left hand page or the left hand side of the right hand page. So I'm just taking a look at what I have available to me in this kit. I do like to do my project life from the kits that I get. I get several, so I should be able to find what I need for documenting my everyday project life memories in these kits. So I have a combination of, see that big stack of cards there? Those are from Cocoa Daisy and Paper Person, Allie Edwards, and Studio Calico. So that is a lot of kits that I have there. And if I can't find cards from that, I'm in big trouble because there are lots of beautiful cards in those kits. And they have a variety of different styles as well, which I think is nice because I tend to be very eclectic, particularly in my project life. I like them to be a mishmash of different designs and styles, and not always a good color scheme. Sometimes it's just kind of random colors. Oh, I love this card. This is from Studio Calico, I believe, and wow, I love it and I want to use it. So I won't be using that June card from Ali Edwards. I have so many of those every month, and it's okay if it doesn't show up in the very first in the very first page of June. There will be 3 more of these pages in June, so I'll get that one used at some point. And I have a story to tell about the mug. And so it's kind of like the mug triggered some memories for me. That's a CBC. It's like a vintage CBC mug. It's not, the mug isn't vintage, but the logo is vintage. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my memories that I have when I drink coffee from that mug. Oh, I really love this card too. It says just another day around here. And I just love the color scheme. It's very retro as well. So I think it picks up nicely on the mug. I don't want it right next to the mug though. I want to kind of pull that color over a little bit to provide some balance on the page. So I've got that kind of blue and yellow, blue and orange on the left side of the page. So by putting the Another Day Around Here card over on the other side, it just pulls that over for some repetition. I really love that Around Here chipboard piece, and I'm trying to use chipboard from these kits to minimize how much I'm putting back in my stash each month. So I picked out this little one. It says A Little Moment, and I thought it would look cute on my cats because it's almost the same color as my cats. This one, there's one on the deck picture that says Making Time for More Fun. Then there's another one over there that says Bring on the Celebrate or something like that. Yeah, Bring on the Celebration. For some reason, I'm having a really difficult time finding a card to journal my CBC memories on. I'm looking through my stash, and that is really one of the last few cards that I still have to kind of find. So I went into my stash and I just went into my neutrals and I found this card, and I don't know what company it's from, but it's just one of these blocked cards with journaling prompts on it. So I've decided to use that for my journaling, but I want to reprint that CBC mug picture a little bit smaller so that it will fit on that large square that's over to the right of that 4x6 card. So I just pulled out my keyboard there so that I could print that up, and I'm waiting for it to print. And there it is. And it's funny how fast your printer is when everything is 4 times as fast, huh? I'm going to cut this down, and it is still going to be a wee bit too big. So I had printed it at 2.2 by 2.2, so now I'm going to go ahead and print it at 2 by 2. So my keyboard has little sticky feet on the bottom of it, and it sticks to certain paper, especially photo paper. So I had a bit of a problem there with that, but there we go. So now everything looks like it has a home. Oops, except over here up in the top right-hand corner. What will we put there? And this is going to be, because there are 3 photos in one pocket here, that is going to be, I'm going to use a flippity flap there. And then I just moved that photo of my office up, and then I'll use this green card here. There's so much green going on the page that I thought I would just really make green be the main vibe that you get from this page. And I'm thinking about just using a plain embellishment to have that be a filler card. I liked the idea of that plant rubber piece, although it's not going to stay like that. I'm going to change it before it goes in the page. These are a bunch of words from the Ali Edwards black and white kit, and they're all kind of like either or, this and that, before and after, and I don't have any of those kinds of stories to tell, so I put those away. I just wanted to kind of refresh my memory, and if I did have one of those stories, now would be a great time to use it, but I'm not going to use those today. So as you can see, there were cards that I wanted to get on the page that I didn't get on the page, and I just wasn't feeling it with that green card with the stars. And then I thought I kind of it was too much green altogether over there, so I made a switch there so that that sky card with the clouds on it, it provides a little bit of balance. There's blue all over the place on this layout, and so it's nice to have some blue over there as well. These are little phrases from Studio Calico. They're on little pieces of acetate, like almost a frosted, not really frosted, but like an opaque colored. They're a little bit see-through. They're little pieces of acetate, I guess. They do have a little film that you can peel off of them, and they would be quite shiny if you did peel it. I almost never peel that little film off of my pieces of acetate because I prefer them to have a little bit of a matted look. It's not very matted. They're still pretty shiny, but I don't want them super, super shiny. I like them to be a little bit less reflective. So I'm just putting some of those phrases around on my page where they were relevant. I find it hard using text on my project life. I find I'm a little bit too picky about having everything be 100% relevant. So I'm trying to be more flexible about that and use the phrases that I have. This is my little 4x6 photo album that I just stash my letter stickers in. I've been doing this for a couple of weeks now, and I really love storing them this way. It's so much easier to flip through and see what you have when they're not just, like falling all over your desk. As I used to kind of grab them as a big stack, but then as you go through them, they're all sliding against one another and getting mixed up, and it's hard to see what you have. And then grabbing them to put them away can be troublesome. So this seems to be working so far. We'll see if I keep it this way. But I am using a Kelly Perky tile sticker, and I'm using this gray because I want it to be very subtle. I'm spelling out week 22, and it's almost like a tone-on-tone look because the background of that currently card is like a grayish color, and then the gray letter stickers on top of it really kind of make it very subtle. And I wanted the design of the card to really stand out because I love it so much. And now I'm just using my roller date stamp to say May 30th and June 5th, and then I just drew a little dash in between the two of them. And I double stamped it. Now moving on to that CBC card. This is a card that says right now at the top, and I just had to change my tape runner there. I use Tombow tape runner most of the time for my project life because it's smaller than my ATG. So I just put the photo there, and the block there says photographic evidence. And then the top rectangle there says this happened. And I'm going to journal. I'm going to say memories sparked by CBC mug. And then the next block says details. And I'll read you what I'm going to say. It says, this mug reminds me of Sunday mornings in the 80s, watching Gunsmoke with my dad, then Switchback, a youth variety show that mixed music videos, celebrity interviews, cartoons, comedy, and puppetry segments. I can't believe there were puppetry segments in that. I don't quite remember the puppetry. I just remember it being wacky and fun, and there were a lot of music videos, and I used to love watching it. And all the kids watched it. We used to kind of talk about what videos we saw. Sometimes Switchback would show the video, like for the first time that you saw it, it would be on Switchback, like it would maybe debut a certain video. I don't know if I have that memory right, but I seem to remember kind of waiting for videos to show up there. The bottom segment there says how I'm feeling about it, and I just wrote nostalgic, that bittersweet feeling, R.I.P. Switchback. I think the youth today would really enjoy Switchback. It had that kind of quirky feeling to it that I think Gen Z really relates to, or Gen Z, however you say it. You know how they find quirky things really funny? I think they would really love Switchback. Any Canadians out there, tell me what you think. Do you think Switchback would fly in 2022? I'd love to know what your opinion is, because I think it would. Not many things would fly these days, but I think that would. So this is a good example of how this isn't really something that happened to me this week, but the mug sparks the memory, and then I have a whole card to fill with it. And it's a good example of how if you don't have a whole lot going on in the week, you can just kind of pull in some memories and that sort of thing. That little Studio Calico phrase says visualize it. And that is just because we changed up our dining room a little bit. This June card, this June this and that, is a repetition from month to month in the Stories by the Month kit. And so I wanted to use this. I just used my hot off the press journaling template to do some lines so that my journaling doesn't get all squished and angled. And so I'm wanting this to be an actual this and that card. I usually just use it as a place to do some journaling, but here's what I'm going to write. Inherited a new table from Sunnyside, stickers nostalgia, Pride Month, exam prep, outside a lot. Then I just went back and underlined all of those, and then I'm just erasing any places where the pencil lines were showing, which isn't too much because underlining helps with that. So then that card is done. And now with the kitty cat card here, I'm just going to figure out where I want to put it. I really I like the idea of it being in the center, but their paws are all together in the center and it looks really cute, so I don't want to cover that up. So I decided to put the chipboard, it says a little moment, I just put it on Nixie's back. Now this is the pocket that is going to have 3 photos in it, and the challenge here is that it doesn't leave me much space for journaling. I'm putting one of those Studio Calico phrase strips that says, let yourself be inspired again. I thought that was really relevant because these are kind of like something I used to do in the 80s was, you know, collect stickers and put them on books and like do little scenes and put them on the insides of my scribbler covers and those sorts of things. I have another piece of chipboard there that says making time for more fun that I'm also going to use on there as well. I just cut out because I did a lot of just kind of finicking with my printer to print up some journaling on vellum. And the new vellum that I have printed on vellum with this printer before with no problem, but the new vellum I have is super, super thin. And I needed to glue it using temporary adhesive to like a carrier card to go through. I use the PM400 and you can print directly onto 3x4 cards that way. And I just set up in Pages a template for printing onto 3x4 so that I can visualize where it's going to land on the page. That way I can print directly onto printed cards. Right now I'm just printing onto a piece of vellum and I'm going to cut it. And before I stick it there, I'm realizing that I think that this vellum is so thin, it's almost like too thin. It's too see-through. So by layering it with another piece, it makes it just slightly more opaque so that the background of that photo isn't quite so distracting, and it helps with the readability of this. I did use the temporary adhesive just by accident because it was sitting there beside me. I'm only noticing it now, but that was just an accident. It doesn't really matter that it's going to go into a pocket. So it doesn't matter whether you use temporary or permanent adhesive on something like this. It's not going anywhere. But if you were wondering, that's why I used the temporary adhesive. It was just a mistake. So this is how this flippity flap is going to work. And again, I call them flippity flaps, but they're photo flips by Simple Stories and Snap. And that way I get all 3 of those photos only taking up 1 card, and I get some journaling. The journaling, by the way, says, lately I've been stickering for relaxation. It brings me back to the 80s when I collected and traded stickers with my friends. Now there is a whole community of adults who sticker. We sticker our day or sticker a page based on weekly challenges. So much fun. And so there's photos of me with my sticker books in my lap, a photo of our kind of like daily journaling sticker spaces, and then a picture of the challenge, which happened to be nostalgia for this year. So I maybe that's why I was feeling so nostalgic about my CBC mug, because I've had it for a while and only thought about Switchback this week. So in this card, this is a beautiful card. I can't remember which kit it came from, but one of the ones that I said at the beginning. I'm just putting my 3x3 square photo there, and I'm just going to layer. This is one of those Studio Calico phrases. It says, I'm beginning to learn that it is the sweet, simple things of life which are the real ones after all. And I'm going to put some journaling lines above it using my hot off the press journaling template, and I'm writing, sitting on the scraproom terrace drinking iced coffee made by Scott. And that's just one of my Instagram photos. And I will erase that line because I didn't need it. And then I'm going to go into my stash and look for little a little stamp to put in that gap at the end of my journaling and before the phrase strip. And so these are all my little tiny journaling stamps that I just keep handy. I keep them right beside me in my left hand top drawer so that I can reach in and grab them. I use these really, really often just to fill in little places in journaling lines and stuff. The one that I chose says my favorite, and I didn't condition it, so it didn't stamp all that great, but it's okay. It has a bit of a distressed look. Because if you don't season your stamps by rubbing either a white eraser over them or rubbing sometimes you can condition them by just rubbing your hands on it to get it's almost like the manufacturer has a bit of a coating on the outsides of the stamps that you have to remove. So with this photo, I just wanted to place that bring on the celebrations that wasn't covering either of the flags too much. And that's just a picture. It's not one of my daughters. It is a friend of our family who hangs around here a lot, one of my daughter's friends. And it was on my daughter's Instagram stories. I'm sure she loves it when I do that. And so that card is done. And now I'm just moving on to this one, of course, putting one of those strips. That strip says good things take time. And I just wanted to layer it a little bit differently with the photo of the office. This is a little office that I'm telling a little story there. Don't mind the gestures. This is the office that we've been working on for the past several weeks. So my journaling says, for the third weekend in a row, Scott and I worked at Sunnyside. Sarah's office is finally ready. It's not fully decorated, but it's ready enough that she can see clients in it and we can add the last touches and Sarah can have a part in the decor in her office. So that is all done. And that card said documented up at the top. So that's a nice card to use for that little memory. And the reason I wanted to put that in there is that the previous pages were showing me working on that office. So I just wanted to kind of finish off that story here. I like doing that for multi-story weeks. I like to kind of, continue on as life does. It doesn't typically happen in 1 week chunks. Life just kind of continues along. So I did add a photo there of me and Rocky in my office here at home. It says, you can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. I thought that that was a good caption to have on the photo of me in my scrap room. And now I'm just working on this card that I thought was going to be a filler card, but I ended up combining 2 cards together. So I cut off the edge, the center part of that other card, which had a top and bottom that weren't really relevant. And I really like the chevron pattern showing through, but I left the hunter green border on that inside card because I liked how it picked up on the green in the chevron. So I am going to use these speech bubbles. Just use one of them. They came with the Studio Calico kit, I believe, and I'm using it as an embellishment here. I'm going to pop it up off the page, which I kind of use pop dots sparingly, although there I go overboard. I'm pop dotting parts of it that aren't even going to be on the page, but anyhow, because it's a pocket page, it doesn't need too much dimension, but sometimes I just can't resist. So I used pop dots here. And I'm thinking about, am I going to put some journaling inside of the speech bubble or am I going to put the journaling outside of the speech bubble and then put a decoration of some sort, like an embellishment in the speech bubble? So I'm going to decide to journal outside of the speech bubble. And it's going to say, Facebook memories brought up this gem. And I don't have a date for this because I didn't write it down. And I can't find it. It was from before when photos and like the Photos app used to be called iPhoto, and anything that you took a picture before Photos is in a completely different library. So I can't find that photo to find a date, but it was sometime in the early 2000s, pre-2010. No, it wasn't pre-2010. She was born in 2009. So no, I don't know when it was, obviously. I am looking for something to just add a bit of pizzazz to this card. So whenever I want to add pizzazz, I always pick out my enamel pieces because they're so cute and pretty. So I chose this heart shape, which I believe is an Ellie Edwards enamel piece. It's really cute, and now this card has a lot of dimension, especially for a Project Life card, because it has pop dots behind the speech bubble, and then the acrylic piece is quite thick as well. So then I have a meme here, and this is another good way to fill up a week that is not very eventful or that is spread across several weeks like mine is. And this is just so there's a story here. This is one of those rainbow cards from Ellie Edwards, and the meme says "My life summarized in a photo," and it says "concentrate," and then it has me looking at a butterfly. And I was having a hard time. I tried to say lately my ADHD has, and I couldn't think of what else to say. And then I thought it might be funny if I just left it at that, because it's a good example of making it look like I was distracted in the middle of my journaling, and it kind of says all that you need to say without me having to find the words to say it. So I just left it at that. Lately my ADHD has. Because, yeah, it's been doing that to me lately. So then I have this card here, this 4x6 photo of Sophie journaling, or not journaling, she's studying. And I have all of these Studio Calico phrases, and I don't necessarily want to use both of these. Both of the phrases could work on this photo, but I don't want two that are the same color. So I'm just trying to think about which one I want to use and what else I might want to do. At first I thought maybe I will use them both, but I don't love the look of that. So then I go through all of those phrases again, looking for any other color that could be added to this so that I could use them both, and then another one so that they're just not both the same color. But none of them apply. I came up with that green one. I can't remember what it said, but I ended up deciding not to use it at all. So I'm going to put this strip up in the other corner instead of where I was first thinking about it. This strip says, "Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can." I thought that was pretty good for Sophie, who was kind of struggling with, she's missed a lot of the content of classes this year because she had mono and was off for, I think, 4 or 6 weeks. And even after that, she was only going back part-time. And so, yeah, she's really kind of struggled a little bit with, she does well, but she's had to work harder than usual to keep herself caught up. So I've been keeping my label stickers in this little photo album, which has 4x6 sleeves in it, but it has 2 of them on each page, which means I can see more labels at once, which I really like. And I'm taking this is a Kelly Perky label. Don't ask me how I know that. And then this is an October afternoon label. I wish I could remember important things, but these are the things I remember instead. So I'm just layering the 2 of them. And it says, I'm writing, "Sophie has been so focused on exams, she spent all weekend preparing her study notes." And I do know that I have another photo printed up of the following week because, as I said, I'm kind of on a bit of a lag because I'm changing the way that I document to this weekly way. And so I have another photo of her studying that will go on the other page that will kind of show the passage of time and that sort of thing. So I'm looking through my word stickers now because I'd like to put something in that little circle, the pinked circle by October afternoon, the blue one. I want something in there, and I was thinking at first maybe a phrase sticker, but then I found these which were also in with my phrase stickers. This is a little picture of a house. I'm just going to staple it in place, and that gives me just what I want. I'll also put that word sticker sheet that came in, I think the May kit. I'll put that in with my other word stickers. Okay, so this spread is really coming together. It seems like it's almost done. So let's just put the around here, stories collected, and put that in the center of that card, which I love, love, love that watercolor circle card. And that's all. That's all I'm going to do with that. Next, I'm just having a look at all of the chipboard because, as I said at the beginning, I'm trying to use chipboard more. And also just having a look at other embellishments. These came with the Studio Calico kit, I believe, and I don't really care for them for Project Life. So I'm not going to use those. I'll use them for scrapbooking. I just don't, they don't really go with my style of Project Life. Although maybe I need to change my style. Maybe I need to be more flexible. I don't know. We'll see if I can get them in on a future spread. So I'm actually going to show you how I put this in my album. I thought it was important. I usually don't include this footage, but I thought it was important this time because I have already an insert, which I don't usually do an insert ahead of time, but I did this time, and a whole card here as well. So I will quickly just put these all these cards in place so that you can see how this page looks with the other elements that I did earlier in the week. So sometimes when there's flippity flaps on both sides, oh yeah, I see. One of my patrons was pointing that out to me, that there were flippity flaps on both sides of the same card, and I didn't quite know what they were talking about. But now I know. It means like that same pocket has a flippity flap on one side and a flippity flap on the other side. I don't know why I didn't notice that. So there's the movie club card, and I'll just put all of these other cards around it. And then I will show you something that I've changed my mind about when it comes to that movie card. I did have to trim this one down a little bit, and it had too much dimension for me to be able to put it in my trimmer. So I'm just hand trimming it, which I do not like doing that. I never get it straight, but it doesn't matter because it's on the edges. Nobody really sees if it's straight or not. I just have to stick these two 3x4s together so that they will fit nicely in a 4x6 pocket. And I do this every once in a while. I just like to kind of flip through my pages and just see how the flow is going. So I'm just kind of flipping through and chatting. Oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm actually talking with my patrons who are with me live streaming this one, and just talking about how I used interactive elements all throughout the pages, not on every single spread, but on lots of the spreads. And so I'm just kind of pointing out the times that I used them and the times that I didn't. Sometimes I actually have to feel the page to find out if there's any pockets, because I don't always put a tab for flipping them. So I'm just showing that these are the photo flips that I use for all of these, and some of them are homemade. So that one is homemade out of a page protector. You can check out the process video for that one if you want to see how I did that. This is probably my most interactive page. This one for, it looks like mid-March. Yeah, it would be mid to late March, I think. Somebody asked me about that photo, I think. It was like, why is Scott on a $10 bill? It's a silly story. So yeah, okay, moving along, Tracy. We gotta wrap this one up. Oh, right. I wanted to show this too because I did the Cuba insert and I just wanted to show how it looks. This was something that I kind of did out of context. I did the Cuba insert and Liv's birthday insert, both in the same video, but you didn't get to necessarily see where it would be. So here it is in place. And then that was the week before last, or yeah, the week before last is right here. And for this one, I use this die for this insert, this photo flip right here. And I just keep the little frame part attached to it instead of detaching it like you're supposed to, because I'm always going to use it as a frame, I think. If I change my mind, I can always detach it at some point. So here we are on the current page, and you get to see how it looks with the insert and with the photo, with the interactive pivot pop-up. I've decided to not keep the blue binder clip on it because it keeps slipping off and it's kind of wearing out the red on the letters, and I don't want that to happen. These are my leftover photos that will go in the following week. That's part of switching over to numbering my weeks, is that I had photos here that spanned 2 weeks. So I just wanted to give a big shout out to my Patreon supporters. These folks help make this channel happen, so big thanks to them. all of them, and thanks to you too for watching all the way to the end. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and until the next time, have a really great scrappy week.